Hello guys and welcome back to the channel once again, and today I am ranking all of the consoles that I've ever owned. This is going to be an interesting one because there's a whole bunch of consoles I never owned prior to 1990, obviously like the year I was born. So everything after that I've pretty much owned. There are a few of the weird quirkier handhelds that I haven't owned, but majority I have, and I'm looking forward to giving you my ranking. Guys, let me know yours in the comment or tweet me with an image of your ranking. I'm going to be using tiermaker.com, which is like what everyone on YouTube's been using, so hopefully you should be familiar with this. Just to let you guys know as well, I stream on Twitch on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays from 8 PM UK time. Please do go give me a follow at twitch.tv/Milezee, and I really appreciate the support. If you're new to the channel as well, make sure you hit that sub button because it really does help. Alright, enough of the chit chat, let's get on with it. Let's rank these consoles.
All the consoles I've owned, ranked.
So as you guys can see, we've got God tier, A, B, C, D, E, and never owned. We're going to start from the... We'll just start from the top of this list, the way it's organised. The Nintendo 3DS and the 3DS XL I owned. I had actually this colour, funny enough. And while I liked some of the games that were on it, not really my thing. I've never been a huge fan of handheld consoles. The exception to that is the Nintendo Switch, which I absolutely adore. Is it on this list? Am I being blind? Yes, it's on this list. But yeah, the Nintendo 3DS for me wasn't fantastic, but it wasn't bad either. I'm going to give it a solid C. Now, like I said, there are consoles on this list that I've never owned. The Atari being one of them. Never owned that one. Sega Saturn, I believe. I never owned that one. Let's just get these ones out of the way now. Next is the Dreamcast. Now, I always judge a console by the games that are available on it. It could be the most clunky, horrible console ever, but if it's got a great selection of games, then it's going to be higher in the list for me. Now, the Dreamcast is one of those. Sonic Adventures and Power Stone alone were just two fantastic games that I loved. You know, it was a weird console, it was really buggy, and just a stupid decision from Sega overall. And the console didn't actually last that long for me. It broke within, like, I don't know, 2 weeks, and Sega just wouldn't be able to fix it, and they were just like, yeah, sorry, we can't fix it. So that was fun. I'm going to give this one a C as well, but it is above the 3DS in my opinion, purely for the games. The Nintendo DS Lite, or the original DS, I think this is the DS Lite, right? Because they're the coloured ones. I didn't own, so I never owned that one. I skipped directly from this little flippy one, which I can't remember for the life of me what this one was called. Oh, it's the SP, that's what it's called. I jumped directly from the SP to the 3DS. So this one, the SP, was pretty good because it had a backlight, you could see it in the dark, and Pokemon Ruby was amazing. I'm going to give this one a B. The original Game Boy, while I loved it, had some great games, you could never see it. If you had too much light, you couldn't see the screen. If you had not enough, you couldn't see the screen. And the battery life was pretty terrible as well. So, from what I can remember anyway, we might have just used cheap batteries as a kid. But this one I would give a D. It's not quite the worst, but, you know, it's not great. While we're on the subject of Game Boys, we'll jump straight over to the Game Boy Color, one that I did own and love the most. That gets an A because, yeah, it gets an A. Pokemon Blue and Pokemon Yellow and that are the only ones I really played. Like, Pokemon is pretty much my only experience with Nintendo consoles, handheld-wise. The GameCube is God tier to me. GameCube is a console that I just absolutely adored from release. I remember getting it on release and I was hooked. The amount of games that this thing had that was just so underrated. Eternal Darkness is all I have to say. If you guys haven't played that, you're missing out. And a GameCube is something I'd still buy today. In fact, I've still got my GameCube. The Sega Mega Drive is an A for me, just over the Game Boy Color. The Sega Mega Drive, it was my childhood. Sonic, Street Fighter, Earthworm Jim, Robocop vs Terminator, Alien 3. There were so many games that I had, and so many games I just played to death. That will forever be one of my favourite consoles. Not the best though. I didn't actually like the controllers. I I remember being really uncomfortable playing those controllers, which still wasn't fixed with Dreamcast. Those controllers were awful too. The N64 is God tier, and that one goes at the top there above GameCube, because the N64 had a great selection of games. Super Mario 64. It was a great console. From Super Mario 64, Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Snap, just some incredible games on that console. Mario Kart 64 was a game I sunk so much time in, and it was like the first console I remember playing split screen on. I'm pretty sure it was the first console that enabled you to have 4 players. Amazing. Loved it. Loved it. The NES is also God tier as well. That console was the first console I ever owned. I was about 2 or 3 years old, and I played Super Mario on it religiously. I loved that game. The PS Vita, while it was a great piece of gear, it was awful. There were barely any games. There was no support from Sony. That one goes at E. And so does the PSP. While I loved the actual software, UMD discs, or whatever they were called, were awful. And the game selection and support from Sony was really poor. This one here's the SNES, right? This is a weird version of the SNES. I think that's the American version. We had a European version which was slightly different. I didn't own a SNES, weirdly. That was weird for me. There was a gap there. I think it was just because I had a SEGA. So never owned the SNES. The PlayStation 1, another console that was really just mind-blowingly new in terms of technology. The game selection was absolutely out of this world. Like, the PlayStation and PS2 are 2 consoles that I don't think will ever be matched in terms of game content. Because back in then we had movie games as well. You know, we had like the Lord of the Rings games, and like we had all these IP movie property games that aren't the one. You know, looking back, they aren't that great, but some of them were very good. Like Alien Trilogy on the PlayStation 1 was just absolutely amazing. Again, this gets God tier, but again, below the NES. The NES for me is more nostalgia driven, but still a great console. The PS2 also gets God tier. Now this one goes above the NES. This one goes above the GameCube. PS2, its library of games to this day is just incredible. Like everything from like Guitar Hero and like the iToy stuff, that was all fun. But then you had like all the Resident Evil games, the Grand Theft Auto games. Like PS2 was like undoubtedly one of the best consoles of all time. Again, Nintendo 64 just above that, purely for nostalgia reasons and for the games that we got. PS3 I owned only for a short amount of time, and it was just okay. I'm going to give that one a C straight up. The PS4, again, great console, but really, I played all my third-party games on the Xbox One. As much as the Xbox One had its problems, I preferred it over the PS4, and I know that annoys people, but I'm a fan of both. I'm going to give the PS4 an A over the Sega. Nintendo Switch is my favourite console of all time. Nintendo Switch gets the first place spot. That console is just incredible. The library of games could be better, but the console idea itself, the fact that I can go away, take it away, play it where I want to play it, then dock it, then play it on the TV. It's one of those consoles that is just so well thought out. It's just so well put together, and I will always love this. And then there's the Wii U, which was kind of like the Switch prototype. I just did not like that console. The controller was awful. The second screen was pointless. It was like a hybrid of the Switch and the DS. And there just wasn't enough games, not enough support. It failed, it bombed. People were confused with the name. It's a stupid name. The Wii was better, but to be honest, I never took it seriously as a gaming console. This was when I lost touch with Nintendo. It was very family orientated. My nan had one. I think everyone in their nans had one. But the Wii was just, yeah, I mean, it had some good games on it. I liked the sports stuff, and the more like family, friends get together thing that they did. But as a serious hardcore gaming console, it wasn't what I wanted from that. I'm going to give it a D, but I really do get what they were going for. It wasn't a traditional console. It wasn't to match the PlayStation 3 or the Xbox. Then talking about Xbox, we've got their 3 generations left. So we'll start with the original Xbox. I really liked the console, but the selection of games was low, although it did have Halo, so that gives it a 1-up. I'm going to give the Xbox a C. I do prefer it over the PS3 and the 3DS, but below the Dreamcast in my opinion. Now the Xbox 360 is God tier. That was my selection over PS3 and the Wii, and it got my love of gaming reignited when that console was released. And I played it to death. There were so many great games upon release for that console. One of the best launches for a console, and that goes third place for me. Finally, we have the Xbox One. Now, why it had very big launch problems and it focused on an all-round media machine, it still had some great games. Titanfall was amazing. That first Titanfall game was incredible, and we had some really good exclusives for the Xbox One. Still play my Xbox One. I've got the Xbox One X now, but the original Xbox lasted a long time, and I just liked the console. The controllers were the best control. I think the Xbox controller is the best controller out of any console I've ever owned. So for that one, I give this one a God tier, and it sits below the GameCube. So that was my ranking, guys, of all the consoles I've owned. Let me know down in the comments below your ranking, or maybe tweet me with your ranking at @mile_z. All my social links, including my Discord, are down below. I hope you can join my community. And guys, thank you very much for sticking to the end and watching my ranking. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you real soon with the next one. Game on.